Hello everyone, Merry Christmas. This is Judge Sapphire, and I'm going to be talking about my experience watching the Nutcracker Ballet, which has been a dream of mine for longer than I can remember. But honestly, this was so amazing. Like, I always presumed that you had to be very privileged to go and see any type of ballet, and it was only because I was told that it was being advertised to go to the cinema to watch the Nutcracker, which is on at the moment at the View, so the cinemas, and it was being broadcasted to the cinemas at certain times on certain days. So I thought, if I'm going to get any chance to see it, this is going to be the chance. So, and it was literally just because I was just flicking through a magazine and it said, oh, yeah, the Nutcracker's being shown at the View live. And I was like, oh, yay, I'm going. So I looked at all the times and all the dates and I thought, right, this day, this time, that's perfect for me. So I went to the View, and it was such a weird experience because, like, obviously they got all the adverts for the latest movies that are coming out, so Deadpool, Wolverine, that kind of thing. And I look around, I'm like, there's no signs for Nutcracker. Have I got it right? Am I on the wrong day? Or have they stopped showing it? But it was just a tiny ad behind the counter that you could barely see unless you were tall enough to see it. So I was very lucky to not have turned around that moment and think, oh my gosh, this is a waste of time. So I went to the View and I got my ticket and I sat down, and there was only 4 of us there in the entire cinema room. But I loved it for that as well, because that's something else I was going to talk about, because I've always wanted to go to the ballet. Always have. Ever since I saw the animated version of Nutcracker when I was a kid, just always wanted to go. So when I was in there, I actually realised this was the best scenario for me. Even though it wasn't in person, I didn't go to London to see it. And I was in a cinema, just watching it on a screen. It was better for me because I suffer from anxiety. So being in a different environment, to be honest, I am in an environment that's public and theoretically full of people, but there was only 4 of us there, including myself. And it just meant that I could relax better and appreciate the ballet more. It wasn't loud, it wasn't chaotic with children running around or anything. It was literally just you and the screen, and it was lovely. I loved it for that. Even though it wasn't it's supposed to be like that necessarily. Here's a cinema, there's supposed to be loads of people there. It did work better for me in terms of my anxiety. So I loved that, and it was just a better experience to see it. In terms of the ballet itself, oh my gosh, I admire the performers so much. They're able to do stuff that is beyond imagination with their bodies. They're so flexible, and at the beginning, actually, this was lovely. They talked about the behind the scenes of Nutcracker, so the props and the different ballet dancers and ballet performers, and they said it's a lot of stamina you need, and I could see that there is a lot that, for me, I would just be exhausted after doing the first dance, but they gotta constantly keep doing it, and it's incredible. Not to mention the quick costume changes behind the scenes and the makeup as well. There was one performer, I'm guessing because this is the thing, the ballet is obviously, there's no dialogue, so a lot of it is visual. And I presume he is the king who is married to the Sugar Plum Fairy, I'm guessing. But his hair was plastered in gold glitter, and I felt so sorry for him because I was like, oh my gosh, that must be a pain to wash out. But, oh, they were brilliant. Everything about them was brilliant. And just the designs of the costumes as well, they were so intricate and extravagant. I love, especially the detail, like I don't like glitter, but the sparkle, it really made it look magical. It really made it look like a fantasy world. And Drachmaya's cape, oh my gosh, I love that cape. I wanted, like, all throughout it, I was like, I want that cape. That cape will be mine. I want that cape. Because it was gorgeous. And it works with his personality as being this sort of mystical, mysterious man whom no one actually really knows that well. So I loved it for that. I loved the way they used the costumes to sort of reflect the characters. And overall, it was just such a pleasant watch. Like, there's a lot of elements in it that I was surprised wasn't in the ballet. Like, I always grew up with the notion that there was 2 battles with the Mouse King. So the beginning battle where we first meet him, and then the end battle, which is like the final confrontation, you know, hero versus villain, that kind of thing. And there wasn't that. I was very surprised. Like, the Mouse King was pretty much done and dusted in the first 10, 15 minutes. Like, he didn't have much involvement in the entire play, which I thought was odd, but at the same time, it did work for it as well. It was quite a light-hearted play, and I feel like the second confrontation with the Mouse King is more like a Hollywood addition that's been added through the years, while the ballet sort of tries to stay true to the original ballet. Like, it hasn't altered. Like, there's so many versions of Nutcracker that tend to have the same elements, but change them slightly. So it was quite a relief. It was lovely, but I was just expecting that final confrontation. So in a way, when I came away, I was like a little unsatisfied, but then I thought, actually no, this works. This is actually perfect for it. So yeah, I just honestly thought it was really well choreographed, really beautiful. The music obviously is top notch. Every time the music is beautiful. The performers, keeping the time with the music is so difficult. Like, you can do it and have it recorded and then you can sync it up with the music and then it looks perfect. But they had to do it live to the music, and that takes a lot of practice, a lot of awareness of everything around you, not just your partner, but also timing with the music and just awareness as well, how much time you're taking up as well on stage. So I thought that was absolutely gorgeous. Now, this is the thing. As I said, I went to the cinema, and when I was talking to people about this, because loads of people know I love the Nutcracker, they're like, you're not going to the cinema by yourself, are you? And I'm like, in my head, like, why not? So okay. I thought, right, okay, yeah, I'm not going to go by myself. So I didn't. I created a loophole. So I went with Hans. Who is Hans? This is Hans. He is my stuffed toy Nutcracker. So what better companion to have to go and see the Nutcracker Ballet than a Nutcracker? So yes, I went to the cinema to watch the Nutcracker Ballet with my toy of Nutcracker. But honestly, it worked perfectly because there was only 4 of us there. I could just put him on a chair, prop him up, and he'd be fine. But honestly, I've been dreaming of this experience for so long. Like, ever since I saw Nutcracker when I was a child, like, I've always wanted to go and see the ballet. And this was just the perfect opportunity, like, because it was a comfortable environment, though I was very cold. I don't know if they just have a fan in the cinemas, but it feels like there's constantly like a draft. But it was just nice just being able to sit in a quiet environment and just appreciate the ballet. And it was lovely to see the behind the scenes snippets as well, because as far as I'm aware, this is the 40th anniversary of Nutcracker, as in the ballet, not the story, because obviously it dates back to like during the 1800s. But it was so fascinating, like, hearing them talk. And I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall with the artists working on the set designs and everything, because it's so gorgeous and the detail and everything is amazing. And just the way they're able to do everything, like how they choreograph everything to work with the dancers and the sets, because the dancers have to interact with the sets as well as be aware when the sets move. And like the tree, when it's moving up, you can't make sure you're like a certain distance so you don't get caught on anything that's moving. It's really clever, and just all the elements are so well put together, and so much attention is put on them to make sure it's perfect and right. And I just love it. I love every element of it. It was just so good. And another thing as well I love, going back to the Sugar Plum Fairy and her dance partner, it kind of felt like there was a little fight going on between them. Like, anything you could do, I can do better. Like, it felt like that, because he would come on, do his bit, go off. She'll come on, do her bit, then go off. And then he'll come back on. And it kind of felt like, if this was a comedy, this would be perfect for, like, a little rivalry between the couple. But, I loved it. It was just, it was so nice. And the Nutcracker himself was a brilliant dancer, absolutely brilliant. And when he came on stage, the mask wasn't fantastic for me. And I think if I was actually in the audience watching it live, I wouldn't have been able to tell you was the Nutcracker, because it was kind of like this halfway mask. So it only went to the nose and across the eyes. And that was sort of the thing distinguishing him from his human form to his Nutcracker form, which you could tell there was something there that obscured his features. But I think like they could have had a better mask, but it does work as well, because it's not a generic Nutcracker. And I just loved like all the costumes in general. Like, I think that one was the only bit I was like, I'm not quite sure about that, but it does work. And the Mouse King and the performers doing the Mouse Army, like, flipping heck, like they said in the behind the scenes, their vision is obscure. So to be able to perform the way they do, as well as not knocking off any of the costumes, like, it's incredible. Like, I absolutely like admire them to put up with that, because it must feel claustrophobic as well in those. So, like, it was just, I mean, obviously they practice and practice and practice, so they're going to be a master of their parts. But at the same time, it for me, it's just, it's so amazing just to see it, just see all the elements come together. And they even had a break. Like, this was the thing. Like, I wasn't expecting a break, but they had a 10-minute break, and it sort of was like a live stream of all the people sort of just getting up from their seats and going off, probably popping to the loo or getting a drink or something. So it was just, but it did feel like you were sort of part of it. Even though you weren't there in person, you still felt very much a part of it. And I loved that. And I hope they do more like this in future, because not everyone can travel to London to go and actually see it in the flesh. Like, for me, it was so easy to just get on a bus, go to a cinema, go in, get the ticket, and go there. And it was cheaper. Obviously, it's not the cheapest. Like, obviously, most movies these days are not when you go to cinema. But if you paid for that, but paid to go to the cinema, you're paying like a quarter of what you're paying if you actually went in person. But also because the cameras are focused on the stage, you haven't got anyone fidgeting or getting in the way of your sight of view or anything. So you can see all the elements on stage without any obscurity. So I loved it for that as well. So it was really... I just found it a really peaceful and calm experience. Because I could just sit there and watch it, and I don't often do that. I don't like watching films or series by myself usually. I much prefer like listening just to music by myself while I'm working on something. So to be just sat there and watching it, it was just so enchanting. Like, I loved it. Because I've always loved the Nutcracker story. This idea of going into a fantasy realm and escaping reality, and everything about that just is so lovely. Like, everyone wants to escape reality, and for 2 hours and a half, I think it was, I got to, or 2 hours and 45 minutes, and I loved it. I honestly loved it. It was so good. Like, everything from the smallest details to the much bigger parts of it were just so well put together, and it was just so clever, and like, just everything about it was just so special. It did feel magical. It did feel almost like you were transported in a sense, and like, I think also what helps is because there's no dialogue, you just have to rely solely on their performance and the way they're able to communicate through their actions. It is incredible. It's amazing, and I just loved like just seeing it because I know the story even though there was no dialogue, and a lot of times like that is a very hard skill to master, being able to present yourself and tell a story without speaking. It's very difficult, and because this is a thing that a lot of people rely on vocal communication, but with that, it reminds you that you need to watch it. You need to take in everything you see, and it was just beautiful. It was honestly just a beautiful performance. The music was fantastic. I loved seeing the conductor come up on stage afterwards as well. There was so much respect for him. It was lovely. And just seeing, like, I used to play the trombone, so when I was listening to the woodwind and they were playing along, I was like, when are my lads gonna come? When are they? And then just the trombones just in the background, I'm like, yes, there they are. Oh, I loved it. Honestly, it was something I've been dreaming of forever. Like, honestly, forever. So, yes, it's a very odd review I've just made, but I would say if you ever get a chance to go and see it, do it. Honestly, it's worth seeing a ballet just because the skill and dedication and detail that's involved is incredible. And it is just like a form of visual art that I wish was more appreciated, because it is stunning, and I wish I could do what they did. Like, I wish I could have done ballet, but sadly I couldn't. But just seeing it is just so incredible. I love it. Like, literally, the straight after seeing it in the cinema, I went home, put on a version I have on DVD on and watch that. And then the week after, I was still hyper from it that I danced in the street in a Nutcracker suit. So the hype has not died down because it was just so fun to watch, and it was so wholesome. I loved it. So yeah, that is my thoughts and my talk on the Nutcracker. And I hope you enjoyed. And if you get a chance, definitely go and see it. They are also, because they were showing off trailers for other ballets in there, they're doing Swan Lake in February. So if you miss out on Nutcracker, maybe you can go and see the Swan Lake one instead. So yeah, anyway, in the meantime, have a very, very Merry Christmas. And I'll see you in the next video. So bye-bye. Bye.